Yes, the song will be stuck in your head all day after this. For a few days. I love how like random giggles and laughs and then Pepsi's chewing like. So this was Pepsi's Super Bowl ad in 1999. And Pepsi, this ad pretty much exemplifies Pepsi's type of advertising that they manufactured for 23 years. And then in 2010, they decided to take a completely different turn and do something totally different, totally out of the ordinary, totally anti-anything they've ever done before, which is the Pepsi Refresh Project. This explored the potential of social media and opted out of their traditional way of advertising. They instead took their budget that they would have used on Super Bowl advertising and gave it away, literally, to people all across America. So what is the Pepsi Refresh Project exactly? So I know everyone probably had those little ideas, or everyone comes up with those little ideas that you're sitting around the kitchen table, you and some friends, and you come up with this idea that you think would change the world, and then you kind of talk about it a little bit, but it never really goes anywhere. You never really take it further than the kitchen table. So what Pepsi wanted to do was essentially pull up a chair to the kitchen tables of millions of Americans who wanted to submit their ideas, and they wanted to listen to all these people. So Pepsi organized this project, the Pepsi Refresh Project, to listen to the ideas of thousands of Americans. Let's go to the second video.
Pepsi and Coke. They're both basically brown, fizzy sugar water. Yeah, they taste slightly different, and their cans look different. But for the most part, they're pretty much brown, fizzy sugar water. So how do you get people to choose one over the other? Especially when most people have already decided which one they like. You could put your kid in some pop star's hands and make a big, shiny 60-second Super Bowl commercial, like Pepsi had done for the last 23 years. Or you could do something totally different.
For the first time in 23 years, Pepsi won't be advertising its drinks on TV during the Super Bowl.
There were no Pepsi ads during the Super Bowl.
The big idea? Take the $20+ million Pepsi was going to spend on Super Bowl ads and give it to people who want to make the world a better place. We call it the Pepsi Refresh Project.
Pepsi is launching Pepsi Refresh, a campaign to foster innovation for the social good.
Pepsi Refresh Project will be donating $20 million nationwide this year.
And you decide who gets it.
Here's how it works. People submit ideas.
My idea is to create a teen cafe.
My idea is to launch the hub of fashionable clothing with a social conscience.
Free after-school culture and language programming.
Develop art projects made for and by the community.
People vote for ideas. And Pepsi gives away millions to make them happen. Each month we accept 1,000 ideas. Last month we maxed out in 2 minutes. The Pepsi Refresh Project is lighting up the internet with everyone promoting their causes. Vote. 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 Resulting in 1 billion media impressions just in the first 3 months of 2010.
What tribe, y'all? What tribe, y'all? What tribe, y'all? We all one people. Let's get amnesia. Forget about all that evil. Forget about all that evil. That evil that they feed you. Let's get amnesia. Let's get amnesia. These are the first grant recipients of the Pepsi Refresh Project. This is a year-long program that provides funding to people with some great ideas to make a positive impact.
And check this out. The Pepsi Refresh Project is helping this kid make school buses greener. And this guy's biking across the country building affordable homes. We've started special needs cheer squads and funded an eco-friendly theater and helped these kids program robots.
Pepsi is appealing to what is happening in this country. country right now, and they're doing a brilliant job.
In the battle of brown, fizzy sugar water, we didn't just create another ad campaign. We started a movement. Which begs the question, which soda brand would you rather give your dollar to?
And we need everyone's vote to find a cure for cancer. One passion, one drive, one understanding.
Every Pepsi refreshes the world.
That kind of explains the project a little bit more, but let's rewind a little bit and take it back a little bit further. How did they come to this conclusion that this was the direction that Pepsi should take? So Pepsi tackled the R in ropes, the research, by coordinating something called the Pepsi Optimism Project. So they sent out a survey to a bunch of Americans and surveyed a bunch of people about their ideas on optimism and where they saw the world going. They found that 94% of Americans agreed that optimism is important in creating news ideas that can have a positive impact on the world. What's more than that, 2/3 of the respondents also said that the best ideas were more likely to come from regular people rather than public figures. What I found was really interesting was that the respondents were also asked to cite where they believe the best ideas come from. And they were given the choices, friends, their children, mothers or grandparents, or bosses or politicians. So I want to ask all of you, where do you think that the best ideas come from out of those categories? How many of you would say that the best ideas that you've heard thus far in your life come from your friends? Would anyone say your friends? What about, well, we don't have children yet, I don't think, but
I don't know, my kids
Yeah.
have some pretty interesting ideas.
Yeah? What about your mothers or grandparents or parents? I don't know why they didn't include fathers in this, but yeah, I think.
I was actually just going to say something, I think that you may think it comes from public figures just because you see them more in the light,
Right.
I think you might, it just comes from more, everybody, your friends aren't as publicized, I just saw, I was watching the Sports Center, and, 11-year-old boy or 9-year-old boy wrote a letter to Roger Goodell, and they had pink flags instead of yellow penalty flags in a game, and, it was a little kid, he was 11 years old, it's brilliant.
Yeah, that's what the respondents actually didn't say bosses and politicians. They said 19% said their friends, 15% said their children, 13% said mothers and grandparents, and only 2% relied on their bosses or politicians. So I thought that was a really neat breakup of where people think that the best ideas come from, because elected officials are seen as the thought leaders. So they're seen in our society, in our government and everything. People look up to them generally for ideas and such, but on a personal level, people think that the best ideas really come from the home or from people that they know or from people around them. So I thought that was a really neat thing.
And that really ties into that idea of groundswell that we've been talking about all
Yeah.
semester with social media, the power moving from corporations to the individual level. So I'm glad
Right.
you mentioned that part.
Definitely. And the well-connected have ample opportunity to, like Andrew is saying, to get their ideas heard. And I think that now with social media, 74% of people from this survey said that with social media, they believe there's more opportunities now than ever to share ideas. But Pepsi saw this and they said, well, yeah, people are sharing their ideas, but are they being heard and are they being funded and are they being things like that? So Pepsi wanted to be kind of like the catalyst and set all this in motion for all these people with these great ideas all over the nation. So they were sharing them, but no one was really setting them in motion. So what was the process for these people to apply for the grants? It was kind of an intensive process for these people to apply for grants. Intensive yet simple at the same time. Very easy for anyone to do. They organized the competition by setting up a number of groups. You see the groups listed there: health, arts and culture, food and shelter, the planet, neighborhoods, and education. And that just kind of helped filter all of these ideas because they were coming from everywhere, so they wanted to kind of like filter them and put them in different categories and make it easier to dissect kind of the information that was coming at them. Monthly winners were chosen by consumers voting online at their website, refresheverything.com, and people who applied received grants ranging from $5,000 to $250,000 for their projects. So that's a pretty great thing that Pepsi did with this money.